Folks, I want to play some of the news conference. This is after Karmelo Anthony's mother spoke and Dominique Alexander was speaking. And again, I mean, this case has been crazy how it has blown up on social media and in conservative media. So watch this.
Sarah, she's even came after me. She's even said all of those things. And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I asked, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody said anything. So since they tried to come for us, I call for the community's overwhelming support for this fund. The disinformation that was put out was literally deliberate to prevent you from helping this family. And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm going to say this again, and this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to. I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America. And what y'all just showed to Judge Tucker is just reminded that hate and bigotry and racial reconciliation in this country, we have respected the process. I believe that Austin Metcalf is about to have his funeral. And I wouldn't dare, even with the information I know, and plenty of people can share that and all that, but we have prevented from speaking about that in these type of public forums. It will come out. They have a more than well-capable attorney, and this family will go through a process of being able to get prepared for this trial. So I just say this real quick. This is our final time speaking to public and holding a press conference.
Folks, so that was that news conference again. Austin Metcalf's father showed up there. Look at my panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. He joins us. Dr. Nola Haynes, Georgetown University. Glad to have you as well out of D.C. This is the thing right here, Greg. I'm going to start with you. And again, when this story broke, and when I was sitting here following it, and it was absolutely white, black, thug. Thug kills white football star. That was the framing. And so you saw all of this in conservative media. They were all Austin Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, thug, thug, thug. And then all of a sudden we begin to hear Anthony's side on what happened. Well, why was Anthony there? Why was he under the tent? Then we find out that it wasn't like this was only your school could be here. All of these different accounts, but Anthony was being savaged everywhere in conservative media and in social media?
Well, I mean, Roland, the obvious play is to blitz with disinformation. Near the end there, when we heard the characterization of the mood of the country in terms of Donald Trump as, basically a permanent dealing of the race card, as I was listening, I was thinking how the prosecutor will play this. Because all of this is, to call it tainting the jury pool is an understatement. You're basically talking about a proxy race war. And as Brother Alexander said, everybody involved in terms of witnesses, at least it looks at this point, is a minor. So basically what you got is a global game of rock'em sock'em robots. Every witness is a proxy for something else. This is a race war. It's a cold race war at this point. But as Malcolm X said, as long as you have the ingredients for an explosion, you have the potential for explosion on your hand. The clown in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, all of the racists that are stoking the fires everywhere in the United States of America, at any point, any single incident could be the wick that sets off a national explosion. If this continues finally in the vein that you've been lining out and characterizing by kind of surveying social media and giving us a sense of this kind of visceral race proxy race war, if this continues along this line, can we imagine what a trial looks like? What does jury selection look like? What does the voir dire process look like when the prosecutor and the defense attorneys are asking potential jurors questions? What does the reporting look like as the media carries this? This could become a proxy for the era we're in. And if that happens, man, you're absolutely right. Black media is going to be more necessary than ever because there's going to be a blizzard of racist interpretation of this, including probably CNN and MSNBC and everywhere else.
This is video, and again, just understand social media, how they've been playing. Again, and one of the people who's really been pushing this is Will Cain of Fox News. Okay, he's been pushing this as well. So here's social media posts. So Will Cain grabs a clip from Charlie Kirk, who we know is a white supremacist. And so just so y'all, I just need to show y'all juxtaposition of how conservative media works. So again, I showed you the Kirk tweet. Come on, go to my iPad, come on. This is the Kirk tweet saying insanity, blah, blah, blah. This is revolting, criticizing Metcalf. So Will Cain grabs his video, and Will Cain posts despicable Dominique, and this is 1 hour ago, despicable Dominique Alexander, representing the family of Karmelo Anthony, calls Austin Metcalf. He literally takes the exact same language of Charlie Kirk's tweet. He then says, reveals his character. He had police remove Metcalf, appalling. This is the video that right-wing folks are circulating. Listen. Give me 1 second.
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words. Okay? What he political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting nonstop about this case.
Oh, honey girl.
So just understand what is going on here. And this has been, Nola, constant. And the framing of it, guilty, guilty, guilty. Here's the deal. He's been charged. He hasn't been indicted. This has not gone to a grand jury. They have not factored in the evidence. You've heard Karmelo sit there and say there are other witnesses there to describe. I'm sitting here, I saw one particular to what Dominique said, somebody posted this tweet. Don't pull it up, please. Somebody said, Austin Metcalf should have lost his life, but his own brother went on TV and said he started the altercation both verbally and physically. Guess what? That video, if he did that, that video is going to be introduced to a grand jury. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So many thoughts are going through my mind right now. The first thing that I want to say is the Karmelo's mother's words are just like stinging right now. The way that her tone changed when she talked about her 13-year-old daughter being afraid to sleep in her own bed. I could not help but to recall these moments, you know, that I heard about growing up. You know, you don't think that in 2025, these are the sorts of stories that we're hearing in real time, but here we are. This is our reality. This is that fictitious 1930s, 1940s, 1950s that they wanted, where they can publicly harangue and hang a Black person because a white life was taken. And I am so sorry that both of these young boys will be, they have been catapulted into history in a way that neither one of them deserve. So that's one part of it. I don't think either one of these boys, you know, should have to be the byproduct of this kind of constant racism, this kind of constant anti-Blackness. Secondly, what I want to say is, Greg, you made great points, and especially about poisoning the jury. We are talking about Texas. You know, we are talking about a red state. We are talking about a part of the world where, you know, Black people are meant to be seen and not heard. And then how dare you take a white life? I am happy that they are constantly recalling Kyle Rittenhouse. I am still incredibly offended by how, you know, many in the MAGA movement, how they embrace that young man for taking young lives, for taking lives just because. You know, when I think about Stand Your Ground with Trayvon Martin, when I think about the countless Black lives that have been lost, right? And then here we have a young white life that is lost. This is going to get uglier for the family, unfortunately. And we also need to figure out a way to not constantly be responding to this. We need to have a strategy of anticipating this kind of vitriol and this kind of racism and stopping it in its tracks. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know if it's messaging. I don't know if it's constantly reminding the public of the facts and the details, and the way that they wanted to make this young man seem like he was from a single mother home and it's broken, and they're you know, they're doing the N-word stuff, right? Like he buying stuff, he doing big things with the money.
There's nothing. No, here's the deal. You cannot message this. You can't. The reality is, you cannot anticipate, well, you can, but you cannot necessarily anticipate how people are going to respond to a particular story. What we do have to understand, there are things that we have to factor in. The reality is, it is still white and Black in America. As you were talking, as Greg was talking, I was thinking about a story that took place 12 years ago in another high-income area in Dallas-Fort Worth. And that case involved the son of Major League Baseball player, give me 1 second, jumped, Torrey Hunter. Same thing. I remember the story like it was yesterday. And here's the story right here. Go to my iPad. A grand jury has declined to indict the teenage son of Detroit Tigers outfielder Torrey Hunter in a sexual assault case. Darius McClinton Hunter was arrested in May with 4 others in Prosper, north of Dallas, and accused of sexual assault. A Collin County grand jury indicated Wednesday there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute him. there was a party that took place, and you see it right here. Alleged that McClinton Hunter, co-defendant Garrett White, and 3 boys listed as juveniles were involved in a forced sexual encounter with several girls. Well, what happened at this here? This was a party, white girls, black boy. Story blew up, went crazy. Guess what the reaction was? Send that white boy to jail. It was Emmett Till all over again. Didn't indict. Well, what happened a couple of months later? Guess what? That son filed a lawsuit in the sexual assault case. Right here. Okay? His son was a star athlete. He had committed to play football and baseball for Notre Dame. He filed a $10 million lawsuit against the parents of several of the teenage girls from the town of Prosper. Now, I don't know what the result of that lawsuit is, but I remember when that story dropped. And guess what? High net worth area, Prosper, Texas. Deion Sanders used to have a massive mansion in Prosper, Texas. It's a high net worth area. That story was black and white. So I just don't think, you can sort of predict what will happen and sort of have a strike squad ready to jump. But this is the reality still in America, Greg, white and black, especially when you're talking about high income areas.
No question. No question. And, it's really tragic. We're in the graduation season. And this boy has been expelled, according to the reports that I read, by the Frisco Independent School District under some policy they call Title V. But they do say that he can still be graduated early from some JJAEP program. So he will probably be able to be graduated, if I'm reading the policy correctly, even though he is banned from school property. Looks like he had completed all the requirements, so now it's just a matter of him being graduated. But imagine that, as you say, Dr. Haynes, as you say, Nola, there are 2 young men whose lives are irrevocably changed. One, of course, is dead, and the other faces the fight of his young life. It is a tragedy, and at the same time, because we live in an ongoing criminal enterprise called the United States of America, and I call it an ongoing criminal enterprise for the very specific reason that it was born in settler colonial violence, white supremacist, white nativist, white nationalist violence, and despite our best efforts to root that out, and certainly renegotiate the terms of the place, that persistent white nativism is either going to be, as we heard the comment a moment ago in the clip you played, either that's going to be the death of this country, or overcoming it will be the salvation of this country. But one thing is for sure, until that thing that is at the heart of this country is faced and addressed, then it's going to continue to return. If this were 3 years ago, it would be no less tragic, but it might be less explosive. But the simple fact of the matter is that, as you say, Nola, it's in Texas. The governor of Texas, the attorney general of Texas, the Texas legislature, as racist as they have been over the arc of the last generation, is now feeling its oats in a way that if this were this time a year ago even, it would not be the same. This will be weaponized in a way that probably we haven't seen in maybe a couple of generations, simply because these folks are now fighting for their ideological lives. And so what does a grand jury look like? As we say, what does jury selection look like if it gets to a jury? And what does it look like if his defense team, I'm talking about Karmelo Anthony's defense team, comes up with a brilliant strategy, and the facts lay out to the point that the grand jury, if it is indeed brought to a grand jury, chooses not to indict? Do they have to leave Texas? Do other people get involved in terms of violence? In other words, if we go back to the 1850s, even at the lead up to the Civil War, the little incidents continue to build until these things spill over into something that might just be inevitable. We might just end up having to have a fight in this country. And if we look back in 5 years or 10 years or 6 months and say this was another step in that direction, I don't think any of us would be surprised.
Well, I just really need people to understand that what you see playing out is America. White, black,
Absolutely.
income, all that sort of stuff. And again, how America sees it. White America immediately, these folks immediately went to black thug, kills, clean cut, all-American, football star, white student. That's literally how this was framed. And then, and early on, a lot of black people were not talking about this case. I need people watching to understand the New York Post, Fox News, they were trumpeting this story consistently. And then you begin to see black people go, hey, hold up, what the hell is going on here? Then you begin to see the response. And then and again, I don't know if this is from the family, the Free Karmelo, and then what was the immediate reaction? Condemnation. How dare they raise money for this killer? Y'all, this is nothing but American history playing out. So you can call this Emmett Till, you can call this Statesboro Boys, you can call this any number of cases. White boy killed by a black boy? Oh no. Black boy gotta go to jail, gotta get the death penalty. But that's also why there's a legal system. And folks are mad because of Dominic Alexander, and they're bringing up his past. They're pulling up what he did in the past. And you know what folks are doing? They pull up the past of Austin Metcalf's daddy. All this stuff is going on before our very eyes.
Man.
At the end of the day, it's classic America. It's black and it's white. It's race.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.